what we're going to do now is we will invite our assistant to come with the questions, and we will go to the person in round one who gets the question first. That's Ryan Elijah. And so Mr. Elijah is going to pull a number, and that will tell me what question I will ask him. 8. All right. And after I finish reading the question, you'll have 90 seconds. Legislation regarding the policy of don't ask, don't tell recently passed the House. How would you have voted on that legislation?
Well, I think you have to look back at the Republican support for this. There were only 4 or 5 Republicans that supported repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. If you look at Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it's by far not perfect legislation. I think if you look at it when it first was passed years ago, it was not perfect. The problem with repealing it at this point, and I think the one reason why the conservative Republic movement was not on the side, was because it completely opens things up with very little restrictions. I've talked to actually 2 military people in the last week about this, and one of them said, in a way that she didn't want to be identified, she said, I have served on the battle lines, and I can tell you this would affect the way we fight wars, and you have enough things that you have to deal with, that what you don't need is a question like this. This is one with no easy answers. Don't ask, don't tell is not a perfect policy. Repealing it sets us back much farther, and it takes the military's job, which is difficult enough, and makes it much harder.
Our next question, round 1, is for Mike Foster. Question number 11. That question is this, sir. A big reason we have an illegal immigration problem is the job that illegals are able to get. How would you propose dealing with businesses who hire illegals?
Well, I believe that for those who do hire illegals, should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The illegal problem that we have really does start at the border. And I would propose and would be very supportive of building a wall from one end of the border to the other, with gateways within that wall so people can come across to America in an orderly fashion, to where we could also document who's here and then check them as they are here in America. But the southern border is not the only problem we have at the borders. We do have a problem out on the East Coast as well. The eastern borders, we do have folks who fly in that have been known terrorists, as well as in our shipping area out there, there has been known human trafficking. So we have border problems, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed. But again, in reference to the question about employers, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Thanks.
Our next question goes to Liz Brown. Okay, well, we actually asked each question twice. We will ask it again. A big reason we have an illegal immigration problem is the jobs that illegals are able to get. How would you propose dealing with businesses who hire illegals?
I agree. They have to be prosecuted. If you're going to write a law and put it on the books, then you have to enforce it. You shouldn't have no laws. As I talked to a young woman today on the phone, we have 11 to 12 million illegal immigrants in this country, and the INS doesn't enforce the law. I don't know what the solution is if the president is going to enforce those laws, but at the very least, then we need to allow the states like Arizona to enforce the laws that the federal government won't enforce. So I think that's...
Our next is Bob Morris. Question number 13 to Bob Morris. What in your personal and professional background sets you apart as the most logical choice over all the other candidates here tonight to run for this office?
The most logical choice, Pat, is that I have the experience that no other candidate has here today. I've been in business for 12 years, running numerous small businesses. And as far as my businesses go, I would love to see the government basically take less regulation off the small business, because the small business is the lifeblood of our communities. Over 70% of all businesses are small businesses, and those small businesses have over 12 employees. So what I face ahead of me in my small businesses, I hope, is less regulation and less taxation on my business.
Thank please, sir. Question number 9. What is the top foreign issue facing America today?
I would say the top foreign policy issue is probably terrorism. I think the war on terror seems to have gotten lost. We don't even call them terrorists anymore. And obviously, the locus of the war on terrorism is the Middle East. We have one ally in the Middle East. They're carrying all the weight for us, and they're surrounded by a bunch of rogue governments. And everybody knows exactly what's going on in those governments. We're talking about Iran, the Iraqis we've already taken care of, the Syrians, the Libyans, and then of course you got the North Koreans. And as long as we allow these rogue governments to act unchecked, we are going to have terrorism. They're the ones that are funding Al-Qaeda. Everybody knows what's going on underneath in that bunker down there in the middle of in Tehran. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is our friends in Israel are going to end up taking that out and doing our job for us because we don't have the political nerve and the guts to do it and to lead the world in saying enough is enough. If we clean up that mess over there and we start these people on a trail of economic freedom, getting them incorporated into the economy of the world, you'll see some radical changes in the way we do business. Thank you.
And the next question goes to Marla Silkman. Sir, the question you have selected. Question number 1. What is the first piece of legislation you would introduce if you were elected?
The first piece of legislation I would introduce would be a balanced budget amendment. I believe that there's nothing more important than our federal government living within its means, just like we do with our family budget, just like we do here in the state of Indiana. I believe that it's important for us to stop the fiscal deficit spending that we have going on in Washington. A $1.6 trillion deficit in spending is not the type of government that we need to not only solidify our future in the world economically, but we cannot continue to hand down more debt to our children and to our grandchildren. It is only going to increase taxes. It is only going to put them in a vulnerable position economically. And how can we be the greatest country in the world, not only militarily, but economically, if we don't have people in Washington, D.C. that understand that you cannot spend more money than you take in?
Mr. Powell, can you select, please? Question number 12. Question 12 is, do you identify more with the Tea Party movement or the Republican Party in Congress? What will that mean for your working relationship with Republican leadership?
Well, I'd like to start with a quote somebody I identify with. I'm sick and tired of people who say that if you debate and disagree with this administration, somehow you're not patriotic. And we should stand up and say, we are Americans, and we have the right to debate and disagree with any administration. I'd like to say for once, I agree with Hillary Clinton. So I am very much enthusiastic about the Tea Party and the energy that they brought to our political system, and I cheer them on.
Thanks, sir.